My Lords, I'm very grateful to all the noble lords who've spoken in this short debate. My noble friends, Lord Frost and Lady Lawler, made important points about patient empowerment, but also about the improvement in medical care that can only follow from a better understanding of what, in fact, actually is going wrong. And I'm also partly grateful to the noble Baroness Lady Miller of Chiltern Domer, because she did actually support the principle that the data should be collated. She thought perhaps not by means of an Act of Parliament, and I conceded that point in my opening remarks. There are other means of doing it, but she did actually say she thought the data should be collated. I find myself less able to express gratitude to the noble Baroness Lady Barker, who lives in a world I simply don't recognise. I have not read this American book she is referring to, and she came dangerously close to suggesting that I was either in receipt of or being influenced by money for this purpose, and that would be a contemptible thing to say, and I will happily give way if she indicates she wishes to distance herself from any such implication. My noble friend Lady Sugg said that the bill required abortion complications to be reported for the first time, when in fact, and this would be different from what it doesn't, abortion complications, as the noble minister said, the noble Baroness, the minister, said, are already reported. The question is whether the data is robust and the sources from which it is drawn. And the noble Baroness, Lady Sugg, also said that collecting data could compromise the privacy of patients. Well, of course it could, but it doesn't, because you collect it without compromising the privacy of patients. And the report that was produced in November 23, nobody has suggested remotely compromised the privacy of patients. And all that the bill does is require that that report continue to be produced on an annual basis. Lord Scriven, the noble Lord Scriven, was massively keen to improve the quality of NHS data. But the moment he sees a report from the Office of Health Improvements and Disparities, which clearly does improve the quality of data, he retreats into a sort of conspiracy theory.
Wait. The data, if you're going to have patient end-to-end, needs to include A&E, GP, private, inpatient, outpatient. The statistical analysis which this bill puts in place is a complete gap and doesn't give you patient-to-patient end data. Therefore, it becomes a completely and totally ineffective use of statistics.
Well, with respect, it is true that the report that the noble Lord has obviously read carefully does not include data from GPs or from 111. That would have been an onerous task, and this was a first and experiment, as the Minister Government has said, a first and experimental effort. But this is an argument for actually going further and improving the collection of that data, not for giving up the attempt altogether and seeing it as a conspiracy, which is what the noble Lord appeared to do. We are really all on one page about this, or at least he and I seem to be. What is so strange about the advocates of choice here in this debate is that they are so defensive. They speak as if they are sort of surrounded by a conspiracy. I don't actually think they are. But I will say, my lords, that if I thought I was surrounded by a conspiracy, I would actually want to live in a world of facts and not hide myself from them, which is what they seem to be doing. The proposal is that data produced by an arm of the NHS should continue to be produced. That is all it is. Whether that is done by means, by statutory means, or by administrative means. I turn finally, so as to, I know there are other things happening today I turn finally to the remarks of the noble Baroness, the Minister, and I'm grateful to her, actually, for being one of the few people to treat the bill seriously and to look at what the words in the bill says. She wandered slightly from that into the worlds of sort of strange contexts, but in fact, a great deal of her speech was an echo of my speech, because on the history and factual and contextual issues here, we are largely agreed. And I agree that the bill exceptionalizes abortion to some extent because, as I said, abortion is exceptional in that its statistics are generated from different data sources, which is very different to the majority of NHS procedures which take place inside a hospital. I grant the noble Lord Scriven does have a point that there are other exceptional cases too. I didn't say abortion was unique, but I did say it was exceptional. There are differences between the two words, and he is right about hip operations being some hip operations taking place in the private sector and so forth. And similar issues might arise there as well. She says that there are different and other ways of collecting these statistics, non-statutory means. And that point, too, I conceded in my opening remarks. What she didn't say is that she would use those different non-statutory means of collecting these statistics. I'd remind her that when she signs her letters, underneath her name, it says Minister for Patient Safety and Women's Health. I do think we need better statistics on complications arising from abortions. I'm disappointed that the noble Baroness, the Minister, hasn't committed herself to that and agreed that even if a bill is not necessary for this purpose, that she would be setting herself to do so. Sadly, she hasn't. My Lords, with that, I beg to move.
The question is that this bill be now read a second time. As many of that opinion will say content. The contrary not content. As many as that opinion will say content. The contrary not content. The contents have it. Lord Moylan, do you wish to move that the bill now be committed to a committee?
I beg to move this bill be committed to a committee of the whole House.
The question is that this bill be committed to a committee of the whole House. As many as that opinion will say content. The contrary not content. The contents have it.